Paris is called the City of Love. Who finds love in danger by design? There's something of a love triangle with Minette, Dieter, and Heather, so I'll start with them. Minette is a terrible person who should not date anyone, because she couldn't last 5 minutes without throwing a teapot at them. All the things that make her a bad boss also make her a bad girlfriend. We're told she used to date Dieter von Schwesterkrank, which is a strange idea on both sides. What could she possibly see in him? Their relationship immediately strikes me as an odd publicity stunt. Or maybe she's trying to use him. I could see her flirting with someone in order to get a discount on photographs. When Nancy asks Minette about the breakup, Minette throws a fit and refuses to say anything. The game doesn't explain beyond that, so either she's really sensitive about the breakup, or it's just an ordinary Tuesday for Minette. I always figured that the two other culprits, Ernst and Gunther, forced Minette to dump Dieter. They thought he was too much of a distraction for her, so they demanded that she break up with him. I guess it's possible, and it would explain why she's so mad about the breakup, but it's a little silly to think that the international spies are overly concerned with Minette's love life. You could easily come up with another plausible explanation for the breakup, such as Minette hates his favorite style of music, or her tea therapist recommended against dating someone whose name starts with the letter D. Some people joke that Minette got an alien tattoo because of Sunny June. It is a funny idea to think of Sunny convincing his boss to get a silly tattoo, but I'm not sure there's a direct correlation between tattoo buddies and dating each other. I would ask my wife about that, but I think she'd just get annoyed at me. I'm going to go with Enrico Taza from The Phantom of Venice. Enrico and Minette are both culprits who wear masks the entire game, so they have that in common at least. They can meet in jail and fall in love. Dieter von Schwesterkrank. I feel a little bad for Dieter's love life. He started dating Minette because he wanted to find his family's treasure. Against his wishes and expectations, he fell madly in love with her. Now he's heartbroken, hoping he can find a way to get her back. We all know that will never happen because she gets arrested as the culprit. Dieter will be forever alone. The way Dieter tells the story makes me feel sad, and I want him to date Minette again just so he can be happy, even though I know he's better off without her. Other than that, Dieter's kind of a jerk. He says he's great at knowing what women are thinking and feeling at all times, and he figures he'll just ignore Heather's crush on him until it's not a problem anymore. If he's not interested in Heather, he could at least do her the courtesy of letting her down gently. Thanks to his job, he has to see her a lot. And if Dieter did know what women are feeling, he'd know Nancy is annoyed at him, forcing her to do all his dumb chores all the time. I'm gonna go with Minette. If Dieter wants to date Minette, he can date her and deal with the heartbreak. He kind of deserves it. And it sounds like he's gonna have heartbreak over Minette no matter what. He's forced to repeat the tragic love story of his ancestor Hans. Heather McKay has a crush on Dieter, which isn't going anywhere because he's still carrying a torch for Minette. That's why Heather sent a mean message to Minette in the dodo box. She's upset because Minette basically destroyed Heather's chances of dating Dieter forever. Heather's actually a nice, sympathetic character. I feel bad that she doesn't get to date her crush, but as I just explained, Dieter's kind of terrible. He would need a personality change for that relationship to work. You see that in romance movies sometimes. He realizes how blind he's been. He confesses how much he loves her, and her love transforms him so completely that he's never the same again. That's great for movies, but I'm not sure it would work with Dieter. Part of the problem is that we have no idea what happens to Dieter after the game. He's not in the ending. Heather is. She becomes a fashion designer. She gets a happy ending. I can't think of any better choices for Heather, so I'm going to go with Dieter. She can date the guy she likes. Let's say Minette's arrest is the wake-up call he needed, and he becomes far nicer to Heather. Far nicer to everyone, I hope. Jean-Michel Traquenard. Ooh, he's a tough one. The guy barely interacts with any of the other characters besides Nancy. He knows who the others are, he just doesn't talk to them. He spends most of his time at the cafe, not doing much. He's allegedly working on the fashion magazine that we see once for a puzzle. He forces Nancy to do the parfait puzzle, so we know he cares more about dessert than working. He sort of disappears in the second half of the game. He doesn't get mentioned in the ending. He'd probably love Jenna from Danger on Deception Island, who gives unlimited free clam chowder at her restaurant. Yumi and Tony also own restaurants. Like Jean, Dr. Buford from Legend of the Crystal Skull hangs around a food place all day long instead of working. I don't feel strongly about Jean Michel one way or the other. I'm going to pair him with JJ Ling, simply because I don't know what to do with those two characters in this game. JJ Ling with Jean Michel. We don't know how she feels about him. They could be friends. Maybe he visits her for work, they share their favorite cookie recipes, and love blooms. Zhu has a crush on her, but she deliberately avoids him because he's a creepy weirdo and she's paranoid in general. I don't see anything happening there, or with the Hardy Boy who has a crush on her. She enjoys lying to people for no reason, which seems like it would be a major problem in a relationship. She kind of reminds me of Shorty from Secret at Shadow Ranch because he forces you to solve a similar baking challenge, but I don't want to force poor JJ to date Shorty, so like I said, Jean-Michel. Nancy Drew, this is not a good game for Nancy to find a boyfriend. She can't date Jean-Mi because they can't communicate with each other. She keeps not understanding what he says because he has a French accent. My instinct is to say Dieter because he's closer in age to Nancy, but I just explained why Dieter isn't a very good boyfriend for anyone. Plus, he doesn't seem to care that much about Nancy. He ignores her when she calls out to him at the park. I'm going to say no one. Now for the phone contacts. Zhu is a creepy stalker. I want to say JJ because that's the only character he's connected to, but I don't want her to date crazy stalker who memorized her handwriting. So I'm going to randomly pair him with Lynn Manrique. She's a historian. He likes the history of the catacombs. It could work. Lynn Manrique. All we know about her is that she's interested in Noisette Tornade and her history. The only other character who's interested in this is Dieter, so Lynn and Dieter. She can meet him on a research trip. Hugo Butterly. All we know is that he hates Minette. I wouldn't put it past him to date JJ or Heather as a way to sabotage Minette's career. It's honestly a coin toss between the two. Heather has more reason to go along with a plan of sabotaging Minette, so I'll go with her. Prudence Rutherford. Jean-Mi, definitely. I suspect he is her third husband and they broke up for a ridiculous reason. Ernst and Gunther Schmeck. Evil secret agents that treat Minette like garbage. It's hard to gauge their personalities because they're barely in this game. I'm going to go with Helena from Phantom of Venice, who's also a German criminal mastermind who's not operating in their home country. To recap, I am picking Minette with Enrico Taza, Dieter von Schwesterkrank with Minette, Heather McKay with Dieter, Jean-Michel Traquenard with JJ Ling with Jean-Michel, Nancy Drew with no one. Lynn Manrique with Dieter, Zhu with Lynn Manrique, Hugo Butterly with Heather, Prudence Rutherford with Jean-Mi, Ernst and Gunther with Helena. What does the internet say? Minette with Dieter or none? People suggested Taylor Sinclair, Sunny June, or a prison guard. Heather McKay with Dieter or other. JJ Ling tied with Heather and Jean-Mi. I didn't see that coming. The other winner was other, and Rick Arlen was suggested. Jean-Michel Traquenard with Dieter or none. Dieter von Schwesterkrank with Minette, but other got more votes. Suggestions were for Ethel Bossany and Deirdre Shannon. I never thought Dieter with Deirdre. Nancy Drew with JJ Ling and Dieter, although Dieter virtually tied with none and other. Suggested for Nancy was Joe Hardy and Frank Hardy. Well, that's it for Danger by Design. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody.